Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast here on OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, and I am joined by a first-time guest, the newest member of the Omega Metroid roster. You know her as Lillith. Lillith, how are you?
All right. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry, it was super awkward talking about myself, but yeah, thanks. I'm super happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. If anyone missed it, we put out the presser over on Twitter that Lillith is joining the Omega Metroid team. So yeah, we're gonna be seeing a lot of Lillith, and we've seen a lot of her already on Twitter in the short amount of time you've been here. But I'm really happy to have you. You have a pretty knowledgeable background in Metroid, and if I can be honest with you, actually, I've never even told you this, but I remember a year ago, or was it a year ago that you said, like, I'm stepping away from Metroid Database, and I was like, man, I wonder if Lilith ever wanted to come back into the Metroid world. I'd love to have her on the team, but I was like, I'll give it a bit before I reach out and message. And look at us now doing a podcast together. I love it.
Yeah, it's been really great. This has been so far. It's been an absolute blast. Honestly, I did step away for a little while, and took care of some personal stuff, and I don't know, I guess focused on myself or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to get back into the swing of things. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got a good show. We are going to, we're actually going to be answering some questions, which I love doing these shows because they basically do themselves. So we asked everybody for Super Metroid questions, but before we get there, we have a little bit of plugging to do, actually, because next week, as you may or may not know, is episode 150, and so 50 episodes equates to about a year, so it's going to be like our 3-year anniversary, and we're bringing back a special gimmick, a fan favorite gimmick, in fact, that we did for episode 200 or 100 of the Zelda Cast and Omega Metroid. We're bringing back Omega Metroid versus the Zelda Cast trivia, and I, the Crooked Commissioner, am going to be the master of ceremonies, and I'm going to be dishing out a little Metroid trivia, a little Zelda trivia, maybe I got a few other surprises up my sleeve. But Lilith, I didn't know this about you until we started talking a couple weeks ago. You're a big Zelda fan.
I am. I actually am. That's my other big love, my other big passion. Metroid and Zelda absolutely fight with each other like that in my soul. So yeah, absolutely.
Me too. Like, it actually pains me sometimes if people are like, "What's your favorite series?" And I'm just like,
It's like I can't answer that question. Sorry.
I know because like, if I'm on the Omega Metroid podcast, I'm gonna say it's Metroid. If I'm on the Zelda cast, I'm like, oh yeah, it's Zelda, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, it's nice to meet someone else who, like, has a foot in both camp. So I love that a lot. But let's get to know you a little bit here, Liv. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay? Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
What is your favorite Zelda game?
My favorite Zelda game. That is a
how about that? How about like your top 5? Because I feel like a favorite Zelda game, you can like say Ocarina of Time or something like that, and everyone's just like, yeah, okay, that's great.
Or is it Ocarina? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so top 5. Definitely gonna put Ocarina at the first.
Of
Probably
course.
Twilight Princess second. Majora third. Link to the Past fourth, and then I'm gonna say Skyward Sword is probably gonna be fifth.
Okay. So no Breath of the Wild. I'm
It's
I'm sure I'm not gonna say I'm shocked because we do an annual Zelda list over at Zelda Dungeon, and like there are some people that don't like Breath of the Wild because it's not like a Zelda game, like a quote unquote Zelda game. Would you fall into that camp? You think?
I Breath of the Wild is so much of a different animal to me. It's a Zelda game because I mean it's Zelda, but I mean it's so different. It's not even. I can't even begin to like compare it to any of the other games. Like it's it's different. It's a different experience. When I play Breath of the Wild, I expect to be lost for hours. Like when I'm playing like Ocarina, I know what I'm doing. Like I know where I'm gonna go. I know what I'm in for. But when I'm playing Breath of the Wild, I could be like, I'm gonna go to this spot, and 4 hours later, I'm like
Not where you intended at all. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm on the other side of the map. Like
Yeah, you're chasing some random Korok or something like that. That's
yeah.
interesting because I feel like your top games are like kind of the generally accepted the best games. Although I'm not really a Twilight Princess fan, I have to say. But my list looks fairly similar to yours, except I would take out Twilight Princess and I would put in the Minish Cap. I love that little game. I love that little game.
Minish Cap. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the next one in the list.
Really? Okay.
It's one of my favorites because of the art style direction, the music. It's beautiful. It's I When I was a kid, I did a lot of fan art for it with like
Oh.
colored pencil on like lined paper in like middle school. It was my favorite stuff. So yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like we might have to get you on the Zelda Cast here in the near future, as well as Omega. What are you okay? Let's keep this train going. Before we get to the Super Metroid questions, I'm gonna keep putting you on the spot. What about Metroid? Like, what's your give us your like the ones you absolutely love, the top tier ones, and then I don't really have any Metroid games that I like really dislike. Well, okay, maybe like one or two games that I like actively dislike, but like there's my favorite, and then there's like the ones that are just like really good, you know?
Mhm. Okay, so favorite is gonna be Super Metroid. First game, first real
Yes.
game I ever remember playing ever. I know that game inside and out.
So this was a good episode to debut you on.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
was gonna say, oh yeah, no, Super Metroid, I got that. That's totally fine. And then there's Metroid Prime. And then probably Zero Mission. I
Hmm.
played Zero Mission so many times. That's one of my favorites to just be like, oh, I'm going on like a little car ride. Or like a small plane ride. I can play
Hmm.
that and
Yeah.
just, get that and just squeeze out a quick mission real quick.
Yeah.
Um, there's Fusion. I'm gonna say something super controversial. I'm not a super big fan of Dread.
Okay.
Um, yeah. I don't know if I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that I played it maybe one time. Um, but yeah, no, it's just I'm not a super big fan of Dread. Like it's
I feel like
so
that's not maybe that is controversial, but like to me it's not that controversial because I've been listening to Dak for the last what year is it now? Like 18 months or whatever. He's not really like a biggest fan of Metroid Dread either. So I feel like I'm like kind of used to that by now.
right.
So and I can understand why. Like the story maybe didn't hit all the notes that people were looking for.
My biggest problem with it is the music. Like I
Yeah.
that's my biggest issue with them. Like what is the and
It's
like
uh it's a little how do I put this?
lackluster.
It's a little bland.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's coffee but it's missing a little sugar and a little cream, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't have like that pizzazz or this that like I don't know like and none of the areas got me with that like emotional hook that like you get with other Metroid games. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Well, maybe I'll ad lib a question for you when we're doing Super Metroid questions because Doom and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago about like what music maybe could have helped out Metroid Dread a little bit. I was a pretty big proponent for like there should be like a remix of some sort in there. Like I think like having like a Meridia remix in the water area would have been awesome or something
right.
like that. But
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
we'll get to there. We have a lot of Super Metroid questions to get to actually, so we better start rocking and rolling. Lilith, are you feeling good? Are you ready to talk about some Super Metroid?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Okay, well, let's get it started here. We have no time to waste. And Lilith, I will, yeah, you know what? The very first question I have is from you, actually. So let's just, I'm gonna answer it, and then you can answer it, and then we'll go from there. So this is from Lilith. How does the staff feel about the floaty physics of the game? It seems to be a fairly dividing factor among the community, so I'm curious as to how you all feel about it. So I want to give my answer here. So Super Metroid was the first Metroid game I ever played. And so to me, I'm just like, that's great. I love how it controls. This is how Metroid should control. So when I play Fusion, and to a lesser extent Zero Mission, but definitely Fusion, I'm just like, Samus feels so heavy. It's like she's got lead in her pants or something. Like
Yeah.
she feels heavy in that game to me, and I still feel that way all these years later. And it's probably because I play a lot of Super Metroid. I'm not like a lot. I'm not like a play every day kind of guy, but like I'll probably play like at least I don't know a couple times a year, just like a couple hours here and there. So like I play a lot of Super Metroid. So to me, those physics feel like completely normal. And I really like it because it's like you can almost like it almost feels like you're like defying gravity in some points and like how you jump and like the physics and like stuff that you can do. So I really love the physics of Super Metroid. I can understand maybe if you played a different Metroid game as your first 2D Metroid game, how that could feel a little like floaty. But I don't know. What do you think?
I would definitely have to agree with you. Super Metroid was my first Metroid game, so going from Super Metroid, and then going to Fusion, it was crazy. I'm just like, this is bizarre. I don't like the fact that I can't hook back into the wall and jump
Yeah,
continuously into oblivion. It's just like, why can't I do this? This is wrong. And so anytime I see somebody talking about how much they hate the floaty physics, I'm just like, you can just do so much with it. I love it. It's good, but I can absolutely see like how it can be so annoying to somebody that's so used to the weight. And I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm biased. I'm absolutely biased. I love the physics of Super Metroid.
I
Um,
I agree. There is one thing though that I would shout out as like I don't think Super Metroid does this particularly well, and that's the space jump. I think
yeah,
like other 2D games, I feel like the space jump is pretty flawless, but I feel like the space jump in Super Metroid can be a bit finicky. Like sometimes instead of just pressing jump, it's like you have to press it at the exact right time, or like you kind of have to waggle
yeah,
the
it's kind of like a little
D-pad.
bit of like a finagling situation. You've got to
Yeah.
go back and forth on the D-pad. Make sure you put the input exactly right where
Yeah.
you're going to fall into. It's yeah, no, yeah, I can see how that would be absolutely frustrating.
So I will say I love the physics, but I do think that perhaps they could rework the space jump if they were to ever do a remake, which we're gonna get to. Okay, so the second question is from our staff writer Gameworm. Shout out to you, buddy. Thanks for hooking me up with Prime Hack. Um, did you ever discover the Shine Spark playing casually, and if so, did you find it useful at all? What are your overall thoughts on the first iteration of the Shine Spark? Lilith, why don't you go first? What do you think?
Um, I didn't find anything casually in Super Metroid. When I was a kid, my parents had the Nintendo Power Guide. I still have it in like a plastic slip. So I
Oh,
researched that back and like to front and cover back and forth, and yeah, that's how I found out about that. And that's one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite mechanics.
oh,
I really wish that they would bring back the health draining from it.
really? Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I like the danger of that, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. Um, it's super cool. And I remember as a kid telling people like, "Oh, Samus can do this, but your favorite character can't do that." Like that's like
Hmm.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I'd want the health draining to come back, but I would like like you hit the Shine Spark and like the two little Samuses burst out at the side or whatever, and like it's a very short burst, but it's like very damaging. I could be wrong, but I don't know that that's ever come back, has it? Like I feel like now, like when you Shine Spark, you just kind of hit something, right? And it's like you just cannonball them, but they don't
Right.
really have that kind of cool, like I don't know what you'd even call it, like the clone thing that spreads off to the side.
Yeah, like the after images or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was super cool. Like, and just that's one of my favorite like pieces of art is just of her, and there's like 8 different copies behind her. Like
Oh,
it's awesome.
yeah, the yellow, yeah, it looks so good. So the
Yes.
original question, I'm gonna kind of be a goober here and say I don't remember. I honestly I don't remember how I first discovered the Shine Spark because I played Super Metroid in like 1999, so I would have been 11. So I don't I can't imagine that I found it myself. I don't think so. But I don't remember specifically finding out how to do. I bet you it was this. When I was of that age, I was on the message boards of GameFAQs or GameFAQs.com.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the poll of the day actually. I used to go to like the character contest all the time. I was really chapped when Samus lost to Mario that one year. Um, but I bet you it was probably there that
Yeah.
somebody said like you could Shine Spark. It might have been Metroid Database. I don't know, but I feel like I definitely did not find it by myself. But I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry, but it was probably one of those spaces. So sorry, Game Arm. Um, okay, here we got a couple good ones here from our buddy Minneapolis King. So I'll get I'll get going with the first one. What's something you would take from another Metroid game and put into Super to make it better for you? I know lots of people say the slide, of course. Personally, I like a heavy Samus. I'd replace the floaty Samus with the fusion Samus weight. Well, I hate that. I don't like that. No, no. I mean,
Disagree.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And so, I don't know if you feel this way because you've only kind of played Dread the one time, but if there was a slide, that would be so awesome. But you really would have to like rework how Super Metroid was designed in order to do that. But man, it would be very, very tough to go back to playing a new 2D Metroid game ever without the slide, I think. I really think that.
I went back and played I think Super after I played Dread, and it's so jarring. It's because
Hmm.
I like I said I've only played Dread the one time, but I just got so used to that slide. It's so useful. It's just so second nature. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But you're right. They would absolutely have to rework like so many of like not just the puzzles, but a lot of just like the map in Super
Yeah.
to
Like
compensate for the slide.
entire areas I think would have to
Mhm.
be like
Yeah.
completely redone.
Hmm.
So in the interest of not, let's go with a different item maybe. I have two items in mind actually. So one we talked about already. I would replace the space jump with like any other version of the space jump, except
Hmm.
for Metroid Prime 2's version of the space jump. I would not include that, but I would include any other 2D version of the space jump. But I think if I could replace anything, it would be like in Metroid Fusion when you get super missiles, they just like replace your regular missiles. That would be
Yeah.
it, I
Just
think,
the
for me.
stack instead of having those. Yeah, absolutely. Instead
Yeah,
of having to select.
which is
I
which
would,
is like it's kind of unfair because like the Super Metroid is kind of like a product of its time, but it would be so nice to just like not have to select a bunch of times because like there are some times like if you're fighting Ridley or like if you're trying to speed run or something like that and like you got to switch on the fly between super and like regular missiles, it can be a little bit cumbersome rather than just like maybe holding down R or something like that. So, and then because you got to press select like a couple times, it's not just like one button press. So I would suggest that maybe I would take that from like Fusion in particular and do that.
yeah, yeah. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah.
Okay, here we get anything else? Or do you want to move on to his next question?
Yeah, let's go with the next question because I think I agree with you with both of those
All
points.
right. I'm curious to see if we're going to agree on this, Lilith. We've been pretty good so far. We have the same favorite Zelda. We have the same favorite Metroid. This might be a turning point here, though. We'll see. Do you wish Super Metroid had more dialogue? Maybe not like Adam in Metroid Fusion or Metroid Dread, but moments of reflection like in Fusion to better portray her intentions and thoughts of exploring Zebes again. What you think?
That's tough. I think, man, that's really tough. I think a lot. I mean, because you got the whole opening sequence at the beginning of Super, so that gives you a little bit of dialogue. I mean, it would be neat to have a couple more scenes like that, sprinkled in throughout the game. But I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I am in the I don't want it to be remade camp. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah.
I
So
I kind of feel like a same sense of conflict that you do. Because like I said, Super Metroid was my first Metroid, and then I played the first one, and then I played Metroid 2. So by the time and then I played Metroid Prime. And then by the time I got to Metroid Fusion, I was like, man, Samus is like talking a lot, like way too much. Um
that's
so
yeah.
like I don't mind those like moments where she's on the elevator and she has like the dialogue coming through. I think that's actually fine. I just don't really like what they did with it in Fusion because like they started going with like the whole Adam subplot and like I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm like not a fan of Adam at all. Uh, so like but I guess like if it was Super Metroid and she's on an elevator and she's going down from like Brinstar to Norfair, and
Mhm.
there was a couple things of dialogue that talked about like her hunt for the baby and like I could be down with that, I guess,
Yeah.
but it's
I,
certainly nothing like the Adam conversations. That would no bueno on that. No way.
yeah, I would have to agree with you completely 100% on that. The whole Adam, it took me years and years and years and years to warm up to. Yeah.
I still
I
haven't
don't.
warmed up.
You're like, I'm not there yet. I'm still ice cold. So
No. I've heard Adam's a nice guy once you get to know him, but it's been 20 years and I'm still getting to know him. So, all right.
okay.
This is the last question. It's Minneapolis King. Thank you for all your awesome questions, Ryan. If you could have the baby show up or have evidence of it being on Zebes in Super Metroid, more than just the broken tube after Ridley and the encounter in Turian, where and what would you like? I think having more and more enemies in Dread or in let me try this again. I think having more and more enemies dead in husks around Zebes show up after each boss would be cool. Kind of similar to how Fusion, where there's evidence of the SAX running around, but you don't actually see it. I think husks would be a... I don't know, actually, because, like, I kind of like the suspense of, like, is the Super Metroid alive? Is it not? Like, what happened to the baby? I'm not sure. It's a great question. I just don't like husks. I guess like since you said it is probably the evidence that you're looking for, but I don't know like other than just like husks of bosses, like what kind of that evidence would be because it's not like there's a lot of like different I don't know. I guess my answer is like your idea sounds cool. I'd have to think on it a little bit to see if there is like I personally think that it's great what they did and like if anything I would have said instead of maybe seeing some more evidence of the baby you could see some more evidence of like the initial conflict of Zebes because like you see that in when you start the game in Criteria and it's like so awesome but you don't really see a whole lot of that for the rest of the game so maybe that's my answer which is kind of a non-answer. Sorry.
I think it would be cool if they did remake Super for them to kind of just do some like subtle background, like I guess stuff or design or whatever with like I don't know like scuffles of like I don't know the baby attacking somebody or something or they like it got I don't know you don't even know if that makes sense but like just like stuff like in certain rooms things are like knocked over or like a mess or there's a dead space pirate in the background kind of thing like they have like the scientists on Ceres something like that I think maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if we're answering your question. You know what? I think actually, this is like a different game entirely. But I think like Metroid Samus Returns did a lot to make the Baby Metroid like more of like a character because you got to have the baby with you on your journey. I thought that like actually like really retroactively made that relationship in Super Metroid even better. Like I really like Samus Returns for that. I have a lot of time for that.
When I first played Samus Returns, I remember that like whole ending sequence. I just
Oh,
like that was it almost brought like that game to like the top for me because I'm like this is just
yeah.
so nostalgic and I've never even played this game before. Like oh my gosh, like
I
like
thought it was
yeah
so smart. Like that was such a smart decision because like it gets that character over a little bit more. It like I said, it retroactively makes Super Metroid, even Metroid Other M to an extent, a little bit better because you understand that relationship a little bit more.
it
So
makes it like it's just I remember like posting somewhere I'm like I guess I can't ever play Super Metroid again because the baby's gonna die and it's gonna be all my fault.
dude, I gotta tell you something. So my co-host on the Zelda Cast, Allison, I made her play Super Metroid last year. She finished it. She's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "Tell you what?"
Because
Yeah, I was like, "Tell you what?" She's like,
I gotta
"The
tell ya.
baby."
Yeah, that I remember that my parents were the first people to play this, and my parents were the ones that introduced me to Super, and they played it together first before like we played the three of us, and I remember them talking about that whole fight sequence, and my mom just like
Oh,
sobbing, like like yeah. So I
that
agree with
that's the
that. Yeah,
kind of like quote unquote dialogue, like non-dialogue, like action dialogue. I
yeah.
like Metroid telling personally. Okay, last question on Discord, then we'll go over to Twitter. This is from, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Syriacus. In your episode definitively ranking Metroid Fusion, you were both vocal about the game needing a remake, which I agree with. Do you think Super could benefit from a remake as well? So I want to take this one first, if you don't mind. So the question is, could Super Metroid benefit from a remake? Which I think the obvious answer is yes. It probably could, because then you get updated visuals, you get quality of life improvements like we were talking about with the missiles, you get updated sound, you probably get the slide, you probably get extra content. it definitely could benefit from a remake, but the real question is like, does it need a remake? And I think that we're probably on the same page with this. We're like, not really, right? There's a reason that a lot of SNES games, like A Link to the Past, like Super Metroid, like Super Mario World, don't get like full blown remakes because they're just like, frankly, perfect the way that they are. Like they're so timeless. And like, yes, there's always things you can improve with new technology and after the fact, but like, I don't think it needs a remake actually at all. I would even say remake Zero Mission before you remake Super Metroid. But like clearly, Fusion is the one that needs a remake. But I don't know if you feel the same way.
Fusion also has a special place in my heart too. I think that was the first Metroid game I played by myself because I grew up playing them with my dad and my
Hmm.
mom. But yeah, I think Fusion would benefit from a remake for sure, and I think I would enjoy it in the style of Samus Returns, like, they initially had wanted to do.
Yes.
Um, but no, yeah, I agree. I just don't touch Super Metroid. Like,
You know,
please.
I wouldn't be upset if they remade Super Metroid. Like it's like
I,
because it would benefit, but like is that what we need? Like really like I think what we really want is for them to keep making the game available on
yeah,
like stuff like the Switch and stuff like that so that people can like go back and play Super Metroid if
right.
they want to.
Right, I agree. Making the older games available and just so readily available for people that, don't haven't had access to them or that Dread was their first game, they're like, "Oh, Metroid's really cool. I'd like to go back and play this."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the eShop's going down next in a couple of months, and
You know what?
that
It's basically already down actually. I was trying to get my Zelda Dungeon staff to buy some Zelda games before like it shut down, and it's up, but it's not really up because you can only spend points if you already have them. I believe that you can't purchase things with credit card anymore. I could be wrong, but that's what somebody
I
told me.
did just get um Oracle of Seasons.
Okay, well then I'm wrong. Then that's
So
good.
yeah, I just bought that like last week or the week before, so I think you might still be able to use card.
Okay, well, hell yeah. So but it
Yeah.
shuts down soon. So if
Yeah,
you're
it's
if you're
in
missing
March
some
until
Metroid
they're
games or
officially
Zelda
taking it out.
games,
Yeah.
yeah, hit it up. Okay, let's rock and roll over to Twitter where we got some questions to answer as well. So we just kind of answered this one from Metroid Theorist that's basically asked us the same thing. Do you think there should be a Super Metroid remake? We basically just asked that, so we'll just skip past that one. Rob asked us, what was your reaction when seeing the deceased soldier for the first time, and what personal theories did you come up with about him and why he was there? So for context, this is the guy that's kind of draped over. He's like bleeding right outside of Kraid's like boss fight. So it's a pretty cool and creepy shot actually of like this soldier that's just he ain't breathing anymore. So I don't know. I never really I guess I didn't notice it when I was a kid, and like since then I never just I don't know. I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's like someone in the planet Zebes. I actually think like some of this stuff could have been like going back to Ryan's question earlier, like evidence of the baby in just like the previous conflict. I think like more of this would have
Yeah.
actually been cool and like made the world a little bit livelier. I don't know. I guess I never really thought about where this dude came from, but he met a terrible fate, didn't he?
Right. Yeah. It's never explained like who this guy is, like why are you here? Where did you come from? Like, and it's like super creepy because like on the other side of that door there's gonna be something crazy, and it just gives you this feeling of dread. And one of my favorite art pieces out there is of the little things that are eating his body. Um,
Ooh.
yeah. It freaked me out as a kid because I'm just like, that is a dead body. That is not good.
Hmm.
And I mean, you don't really have anything that's like super like in your face about that. I mean, you've got all the dead scientists, I guess, on the space
Well,
station.
that is true. Yeah. I was about to say we need like Metroid Rogue One or something like that. Like, where did
Yeah.
this dude come from? How did he get there?
We need his backstory. That's what we need.
He's also by himself, and he made it pretty far into
Yeah.
Brinstar. So I mean, that's kind of impressive, right?
Like
Like,
maybe it's just like some random guy, like some random spacefarer that's like, oh, this planet looks interesting, and that's how far he got, and that's really depressing and sad. But I mean,
man,
made it pretty far.
you know what would be badass? Imagine this. Imagine Metroid Prime 4 if it takes place in between, Metroid 1 and Metroid 2. Imagine they just get to Brinstar somehow and they show this valiant fighter and he's going down, he's drawing his last breath. It's like Metroid Prime Federation Force 2 except good. That could be something. That could be cool.
Yeah, I could get with that.
Show
Absolutely.
the origin of this poor bloke. Who is he? Where did he come from? Well, he has a family.
This.
Yeah. Okay, great question. And yeah, rest in peace to our man. I played the name is escaping me of which ROM hack it was, but I played a Super Metroid ROM hack, and this dude showed up and he was like he was dead, and it scared the heck out of me because like it was like one of those like flash scenes, and like he was there, and I was just like So yeah, rest in peace, my man. Um, this is a
Oh,
this is a great
sorry.
question.
I'm sorry, real quick. Real quick aside, the Federation troopers from Echoes really like reminded me of the guy dead
Kind of,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's like that. He gave me the same kind of vibes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's back. But yeah, anyway. So
Dak has been a long proponent that they should, in fact, do a Federation Force style game with like those guys specifically. I think that
that
could
would
be
be
actually kind of cool. By the
that
way,
would be cool.
if you're listening to this episode, we did. You have to go back to OmegaMetroid.com and dig in the vaults, but like we did a how to make a cool Federation Force game episode, and I think that game would have been like awesome. We were talking like 4-player co-op, where like you could instantly switch between all the Marines, like there's potential in this Federation Force stuff if they, just got rid of that chibi nonsense. Um,
Yeah.
all right, this is a great question. This is from Hiba, and I'll let you go first, Lilith. If someone, namely the younger generation, was struggling to get into Super Metroid, what advice would you give them to make their experience more enjoyable? You should go
Um,
to OmegaMetroid.com Super Metroid walkthrough. That, my
I-
friends, is what will make it more enjoyable.
absolutely. I mean, you need help. Like, I was a kid. I was a small kid playing Super Metroid for the first time. I can't even imagine, being a kid now and trying to get into it, or being younger, or it being like my first time playing it. Like because there's not really any sense of direction at all. Like you
No.
just gotta figure out, and like I said, I had like that guide, and that's the only reason I knew where I had to go. So yeah, no, Andy's absolutely right. You need help, go look at the guide, go look at the walkthrough, because I mean that's what helped me.
So I
So
mean, I would say this. Like, I think
also
that
bomb every wall. Sorry,
yeah, yeah, bomb everywhere. That'll help you. It actually will help you.
like
Um,
literally, that's
you
bomb
have to go in
everything.
with like the right mentality, right? Like when I played Super Metroid for the first time as a young kid, I think I was like 20 hours in my first playthrough, and I got like 50% of the items, which seems like outrageous now because you play it enough times, you get pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But like you have to go in with like kind of that expectation, and I would say like if you're playing Breath of the Wild, if you're playing Elden Ring, if you're playing like Horizon Zero Dawn, like those big open world games, like part of the joy of those games is like getting lost and seeing what you find. And like I would say it's probably the same thing about Super Metroid as well,
Mhm.
where like part of the joy is like just experiencing that world. And I think that Super Metroid is like quite good about rewarding you, even if you go to like the wrong spot. Like you can usually get like a missile expansion or like something to make your trek worth it. Um, I would say advice that I would give people is you can dash because the game is not very good at telling you that you can dash, particularly over the bridge that we all know what I'm talking about. And yeah, just get yourself a
Yeah.
map. That's all you
Listen,
need.
get him hold down the dash button, bomb
Yeah,
everything you can, and don't be afraid to get lost. It's okay.
yeah.
Like, because
That
even
it's
if you
part of the
don't
fun.
find, yeah, even if you don't find an upgrade, you will find like, oh, I need to come back here later. Like, and that's cool. Like, and you will remember that. Like, there's this like weird thing that I can't get past, and later on, when you find the thing that you need to get through that, like, it's very, very satisfying. So,
I completely agree. And yeah, I mean, the more you explore, the more you get lost, the more that you'll probably pick up in terms of upgrades or anything like that. And then the easier time you're going to have when it comes time to like take on Ridley or take on Dragon or
Right.
whatever. So yeah, but OmegaMetroid.com, if you really suck, has guides, maps, everything like that. So check that out. Um, let's keep it moving. Oh, here we go. This is from a Twitter user named 100%.
Oh
And
boy.
this let's just get this one out of the way. Is Metroid a guy or a robot?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Let's go to our next question. This is from Dragon Soul. This is actually an awesome question. So is that, but I like your answer of yes. You're gonna fit in well here, Lilith. This is from Dragon Soul. Would you like to see Super Metroid's mix and match beam combinations return in future titles, perhaps even in the Prime series?
Oh my gosh, yes, please. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that'd be sweet. I
That's
think
like
like particularly in the Prime series, actually. I think
like
that'd be awesome.
they tried to kind of mess with it and like corruption, and it didn't quite get there. And I remember that was like my biggest issue with the Prime series, because I went from Super to, Fusion and then Prime. I'm just like, where's like, I want the beams to be, I loved the
Mm,
customization of it. Like it was just, it gave me like this superficial feeling of control.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and it was cool. Like it didn't tell me you're going to be using this beam from now on. It's like, oh, I can go back to that, and I can stack this with that, and it looks this way, and it's fun.
I mean, I would say I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel I feel like in Metroid Prime, like when when you get like the extra like the beam weapons, like the sunburst and like the ice blast or whatever they are, most of them aren't really like that useful.
Right.
But like I think like if I were making Metroid Prime 4, and like I'm kind of one of those guys that's like it's not a traditional first person shooter, it's a first person adventure, right? Like that's kind of me. So saying that, I would go a little bit classic first person shooter and say like maybe like you can find upgrades in the world and like let's make them optional, like not like part of the main story, but like akin to the sunburst or akin to all that stuff. And it could be like a sub weapon or something like that. So let's say you have the wave beam equipped, you could find like the I don't know the ice beam augmentation. So like you can have a different effect when you equip like your ice beam quote unquote sub weapon that makes your wave beam like super cool or do something different or like a wavy ice beam. And then like if you go over to your plasma beam, it like it does something with that too, and like different combinations. And maybe there's one that like has two sub weapons. It's like three beams. It's like a really rockin' kind of beam, and like that's the kind of rewarding thing that like if you're exploring the world that because like there comes a point in Metroid where it's just like you don't really need any more missile expansions. You don't really need any more power bomb expansions, but you're kind of just doing it because you want 100%. It's like let's make some of those items like cool. Let's make them like
Yeah.
really like if you go and get this and you earn this and you've explored and you've done all this stuff now your beam rocks. Like it's got like four things that are like ready to make this like I don't know, a wormhole appear or something like that. Like it like something cool like that I think could be totally
Right.
awesome. And I think I would do that. I feel like it makes sense specifically in the Prime games because I mean Metroid Dread pretty much like did that essentially where like the beams kind of just they essentially replace one another and like kind of the same thing in Fusion, kind of the same thing in Zero Mission. So it's like you don't really you get a progression, but it's not like a cool kind of customization a little bit. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that would be awesome. I would also, while I'm on my high horse here, I would also put more than four beams into Metroid Prime 4. Have you ever played Axiom Verge, Lilith?
Yes, I have.
You know how they have like all those beams? They got like the cool wheel going on.
Yep.
What is stopping us in the year of our
Yeah.
Lord 2023 from doing that with Metroid Prime 4?
100%. Like Nintendo, hire Tom. Like he will,
Oh,
like,
can you imagine? That would be so
dude,
awesome. Get
that'd
this.
be so sick.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Like
Um,
I love Axiom Verge. I haven't had a chance to play the second one yet, but I love Axiom Verge. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite games.
I think it might be my favorite like non-Metroid, non-Castlevania or Metroidvania
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, I
I
would have
really
to.
actually I you know what I can't say that because Ori and the Blind Forest exists. But It's right behind Ori.
I need to finish Ori. I have not finished that. I've got like I think halfway through. Got that the sequence with the water and the tree. I'm just like I am literally escaping Zebus right now. What is going on? Anyway, like
That's that's something I would love to see in Super Metroid. By the way, that kind of like intensity, that kind of intense escape sequence. I think that'd be great.
yeah.
Okay, let's keep it rocking here. We're gonna go to a question from Harky Man, and they ask, "What additional story beats or narrative tweaks, if any, would you like to see in a Super Metroid remake?" I've got an answer, but you go ahead.
Uh, uh hmm.
It's kind of hard because like it's such a like perfect game, right?
What kind of, I'd like to, I don't know, like maybe get like maybe like if before the game started you had like a little bit of like a cutscene of what she's I don't know, like the little bit of relaxation that she's done. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense, but just a little bit of some fluff. Some kind of happy fluff before all of the drama starts. I don't know. But I mean,
I've got a cool answer. Are you ready for this? And I've had time to think about this, so this isn't fair. I answered this like a year ago on the show.
you were ready to go. I'm just
I
like,
was ready. I saw this and I was like, it's time to bring this idea back. But what if? Okay, so let me preface this actually. What if? You know how in like Zero Mission, there's like the Chozodia part at the end, and like the Zero Mission part where like you're in your suit. It's like extra content. And then in Samus Returns, basically the whole game is like extra content. But like there's the part after the game where you have like the Baby Metroid with you. I have to imagine that if Super Metroid ever got remade, it would follow that pattern and expand and add like some content like that.
yeah.
What if there were two additional pieces of content? And I'm gonna really pitch you something here. So the first piece of content, the extra expanded content, happens before Super Metroid starts, and let's just say that you're playing as Samus, and your goal is to like deliver the Metroid to the Ceres space station. I think that could be all right, and then you leave, and then you're doing your thing or whatever. But what if also before the game started, you actually got to play as Ridley, and you're playing as Ridley, okay? And you're going into the Ceres space station. You're fighting scientists. You're fighting security. Maybe that poor dude in Brinstar was captured by Ridley. I don't know. But you're going in there. You're stealing the Baby Metroid. You have to fight a boss battle against like the security drone guarding this poor baby. And then when you get out, you actually have to fight Samus. And then it's like maybe this is like separate from like the main game itself. Like it's almost like DLC or something like that. But then you could experience the fight from like both sides, which I think would be like really cool. So I would love to do that. I don't know. I guess like let's find out where that dude came from. Additional story tweaks. I would just say like add more references to the initial attack on Zebes
Yeah.
in Zero Mission. That was
I
it.
like I like the idea of the before stuff and getting delivering the Baby Metroid. I do that is a very interesting idea. The whole Ridley thing. I've never even thought about that. That
That
might be
almost feels like sacrilege in a way, like playing as Ridley. You
yeah.
know,
It's like this is like really bad. Like like it's like
it would almost be like I remember the first time I ever played Super Mario RPG, and I was playing as Bowser, and I was like, this ain't right. This is not right. Because I don't think I ever played Mario Kart, so I never played as Bowser. And I was just like, this guy, he tried to kill me in his clown car, and I haven't forgotten, but now I'm supposed to be teaming with him? What is this?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. It,
What do you think of this prediction, by the way? This is completely off topic, but I am like pretty steadfast that we are going to be, if Silex appears in Metroid Prime 4, like a lot of people think he is, I'm pretty convinced we're going to be playing as Silex. I'm very
yeah.
convinced.
Yeah, I would probably have to agree with you on that. Yeah, gosh, it's super unfortunate that I've say it right now. I've never played Hunters.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I've never played Hunters. I've played. That's not entirely true. I've played like a little bit of it, and then my stuff was stolen from me, and so I
Oh.
never got to play it again. And I downloaded it onto, I think, what was it, the Wii U maybe, or a different console, and it's
Yeah,
just I
Wii
don't
U. Yeah.
I don't like the way that it's just weird. It's not the way it plays is weird. So I don't have like I don't have like a connection to Silux like everyone else does. I'm just like I know who he is. I
Hmm.
know what he does. I know his backstory, but it's just like I feel bad that I don't have this like
I
connection to Silux.
I mean, I wouldn't. I think like if Silex is in Metroid Prime 4, like I think like most people would have no idea who he is. So they're I would assume they're going to be treating him like a brand new character essentially, and like maybe like those who know kind of know, but like they like he's going to be like presented as a brand new character because I think
Yeah,
like most people playing are just like who the heck is Silex? Like even if they did play Metroid Prime Hunters, like he's one of six in that game, so it's just
right.
kind of like which one is Silex again? And yeah, I'm kind of with you. I've kind of I like the idea of hunters, but like even with like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, like the DS Zelda games, I just like the way they control is like
It's not.
it's
I'm
not for me.
no.
It hurts your hands. Like holding the DS, you got to hold it at like an angle so you can have your stylus on there. I tried
Yeah,
using button controls for hunters, and I just there was no
it's
bueno.
no, it's not good. And then he's tied into Federation Force too, apparently, like which I
Yes,
know next to nothing about other than that. Um, and
that
it's
is the single biggest takeaway from that game is that he steals a baby
are you
Metroid
for
egg.
real? Like, why would you do this to me? Like, what are you doing? Like,
Well, let me save you some trouble. Just Google the cutscene.
yeah,
Like you don't need to
probably
play
what I'll
Federation
do.
Force.
Yeah, I will not play that game. I'm not gonna. I only have so many hours in my life.
Uh, okay, here we go. This is a question, all right. This is from our
Oh,
pal Chunky Beef Bombs,
nice.
and they ask if you had to eat a steak that was butchered from any of the creatures on planet Zebes, what would it be and why? Well, I don't know. Maybe
Hmm.
like what's like a good animal on that planet? Definitely not a space pirate.
I would have to. God, I can't remember the name of the creature. The seahorses, the fire seahorses. That
Oh, yeah,
uh,
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know the name either. One of those
I
guys.
yeah, that'd be like a really like delicacy seafood like slice. So you can make some really nice. It wouldn't be steak. I guess it'd be closer to sushi.
Yeah,
But
I had an answer, but I felt so heartless even saying it. I don't even think I. Well, I guess I have to now. I was my initial immediately, my immediate thought was like, you know that poor turtle in Meridia that like helps you helps you go up.
something else.
That like you don't save when the planet is destroyed, even though he's or she I guess has like all these baby turtles. That's what I would change if, by the way, in Super Metroid, I'd change the narrative to save all the animals.
Long ago.
Yeah, those turtles.
Yeah, no, that was sad. I was upset about that. I was a kid. I was like, where are the turtles? And where's the turtle family? Like why do they not get to come?
That is sad. That is very sad. I don't know. I'd probably eat like a crocomire steak or something. It's probably pretty good.
Might be
Seems
a
like
little
a seems like a tasty guy. I don't know. Okay, let's move on. We got a whole gambit of questions here from our man Big Griffin Olney, aka the Accursed Hunter, aka the Great Staff Raider at OmegaMetroid.com. So let's get it going here, and I think this will actually finish us off because he's got a whole bunch of questions here. So part one. Several bosses from Super Metroid share the same theme song: Spore Song and Botwound, Kraid and Phantoon, and Dragon and Ridley. If there was a Super Metroid remake, would each boss get their own unique song, and what would it be like?
Hmm.
Well, we need Duminal here, first of all, to answer what it would be like, because he's the music scientist, not I. I don't, are you musically inclined at all?
A little bit. I mean, I don't. I, I sort of. I like
I know what I like. I know what I don't
I
like.
know what I like. I can play some instruments. I know how to sing.
Okay.
I think I really do like the boss, the mini boss theme. That's one of my favorite tracks from Super Metroid. So I wouldn't want them to take that out, but I really would appreciate
Mm-hmm.
a little more customization in like the boss musics. That would be really neat. Just having them maybe be it could be, maybe it could be that same like underlying motif of the, the mini boss song with like different, I don't know, different stuff on top of it for different bosses. So Spore Spawn would have something more earthy, and Crocomire would have something more lava-y, because that
Hmm.
makes sense. Um, but yeah, maybe
I would
keeping it in.
say, I would say, I think like the big four should
Yeah,
definitely have their own. And like Ridley's theme, Ridley's theme wasn't really Ridley's theme at that time.
right.
Like it was just kind of like a theme. So like that's definitely Ridley's theme now. So like
Yeah,
he would
for
have
sure.
like obviously his own remix of that. Dragon would need something new, and I think you want to give Fantoon something new as well, just to be
Yeah,
like a little bit creepy, a little bit
something ghosty,
ghostly.
like that'd be cool.
You know what? I would actually. I don't know if I'm gonna get any flack for this. I would be cool if they like remixed the other M Fantoon theme song and did that, because like I think that theme song was pretty good.
That's
Um,
one of my favorite parts of that game.
yeah, like I
Yeah,
think like Kraid definitely should have like a rockin' version of the classic Kraid theme, like the Brinstar Depths from Smash Bros. That was such a miss from Metroid
yeah,
Dread. That really
yeah,
was a
right.
miss.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think I'm okay if like Spore Spawn and Botwoon share the same like mini boss theme, to just like
yeah,
kind of let you know like this is just a mini boss. You know,
right.
you're gonna be challenged, but it's not like that much. I can't even remember what theme the Chorizo fights have. But the Chorizo could probably have its own theme again. Like that, I feel like that's fine. And then, man, I can't remember what theme Crocomire has either. Actually, off the top of my head,
I think it's the same.
it's Kraid, right? Is it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's crazy.
Fact check us, listeners, if we're wrong. But yeah, I think you could also give him like the generic like
Right.
mini boss theme as well. So yeah, like I think that clearly, like if this game were to ever get remade, which again we're not saying that it should, but I think definitely like Kraid, Fantoon, Dragon, Ridley would have their own themes for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what Dragon's would be though. He's kind of like the one that's doesn't really have like a lot of other stuff or like history to draw on, which is too bad because I was sure that he was going to show up in Metroid Dread because there's that like silhouette that they found.
Super bummed about that. I was like, what? No. Ugh.
That's too
I
bad.
remember like between that and then the cameo in Prime, that was I need more Dragon. I
I
agree.
like I would love for Dragon to come back and like I think it'd be so cool like you know you get I think if he came back in a game ever like especially a 2D game you could have like all like the grapple beam stuff and like you could actually like incorporate it into how the boss battle goes instead of it kind of being a way to cheese him. I think that would be great. That's a
I
hell of a battle if you don't use a grapple beam, by the way. That's a tough battle.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool to see that from a first person perspective, like the cheese
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
grapple. That'd be like insane.
I would
Um,
dig that. I would dig that. Okay, we already answered this question. His second question is, how do you feel about Super Metroid's physics? A lot of people want to know about the physics. I guess it's like, I don't know,
it's a
really.
dividing factor.
Yeah, I guess. I just like, I don't know.
I'm
I think like when
like
you play Super Metroid, like it feels so good. Like like everything feels good. Like you can
I
twist
love being
as you
able to run
move.
and just shoot off into the atmosphere. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's my favorite. Like I love it. And I think it's either a love it or you hate it kind of thing.
I
Which is sad.
guess I guess I'm not surprised to see so many people like kind of question that because it is a dividing factor. Like, but yeah, I like to me, I'm just like God. Metroid Fusion feels heavy. Why is this game so heavy? You know, like I feel like gravity's pressing down on you in that game. So I guess that shows where we stand. Part three of Big Griff's questions. Would you ever attempt a reverse boss order run of Super Metroid? Why or why not? Well, I never would because I'm not good enough to do it. First of all, like you have to like you have to be like a crazy speedrunner in order to
Yeah.
do I can't remember what the optimal route is now, but it's something like Fantoon, Ridley, Kraid, Dragon, or like something like that. Um, and for a long time, like it was done in order, but like speedrunners kind of broke through that. But like you have to be like really good at Super Metroid to do that. And I think I'm pretty good at Super Metroid. I can do like some. stuff, like some stuff, but not that stuff. Like I can't do like the. Have you ever tried to do like the short charge shine spark? I can't do that.
Not in Super Metroid. No, I can't do that.
There,
No,
there's
no.
I don't even know if I can describe it properly, but like so you have to press forward and A at like the exact same time, but like you have to do it like 4 or 5 times in quick succession. And if you do that, you can charge up your shine spark in like a very small amount of space, like very small. I think I did it once ever, probably by accident, and I used it to shine spark over like the part right before the wreck ship, like in Criteria, where like there's a pool of water, and
Yeah.
I shine sparked over that, and that was it. That's the only time I've ever done it. But you have to be able to do that in like Norfair, like right before you get to Ridley, and then somehow like shoot up to do that, and that would have to be the first thing that you do. So like,
No, but no,
no
I'm
way.
not. I can't. I am. Speedrunners are of a different breed. I am not.
It,
I I
it's like you're
can't.
watching The Matrix, and like the
Yeah,
kid
it's
is
just like,
bending the spoon, and it's like,
are
huh?
you seeing a different reality than I am right now? Like, what's
Yeah.
happening?
You know what you should do, Lilith, is if you ever got some spare time, you should watch our Twilight Princess run at the Zelda Ninja Marathon. Because people there do outrageous things. It's just like, it's like they go into the game's code and they're like neoing
Yeah.
it and like shifting it, and like all of a sudden like I take 12 hours to finish Twilight Princess, and some people beat it in like 5 hours, and it's like, huh?
That's crazy.
Like,
No. I
yeah.
like I know how to do like goofy little gimmick stuff. I can't do that. I can like jump backwards off of something. Like I can't
Yeah.
I
You
can
know,
jump off of the wall onto a special place like
sometimes, but not every time, but sometimes I can get the quick kill on Kraid. So I mean,
yeah.
look at me go. That's about the extent of my actually, you know what? I can skip Spore Spawn too. I can do that. But after that, no. I can't do that.
Yeah, no,
I
it's crazy.
I couldn't even fathom fighting like Ridley at the beginning of the game with minimal. Like you got to figure at that point you have like maybe like 3 energy tanks, a couple, if any, super missiles, a couple missiles. I don't think so. So to answer your question, no, never tried that and would not try it because I'm not that good.
0 out of
Griff's
10 would never try. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. All right, Griff's next question. I'll let you take this one. This is a great question. What is your favorite power up from Super Metroid?
Favorite power up from Super Metroid. Huh. It's probably a tie between the grapple and the X-ray visor.
The X-ray. Okay, the X-ray visor. Elaborate.
Um, I liked the X-ray visor because I didn't have to bomb every single wall anymore.
Well, I guess that makes
Um,
sense. Yeah.
I I like looking for secrets. That's like one of my biggest things to do. And anybody that knows me and has ever watched me play a video game knows anything I ever play, I always look for like super extra special secrets and stuff like that. And I think I have to attribute that to getting the X-ray visor in Super, just because I am always expecting there to be something hidden behind a wall somewhere, or hidden, behind something or underneath something. And I love the X-ray visor, and I like how they implemented it into Prime. I thought that was really, really fun.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah, I would agree with that. One thing I do like about the X-ray visor is that at least like in other games that doesn't have it, I find that I expend like a lot of power bombs, like basically doing what the X-ray visor did, which is like looking for clues and secrets like that. So those could be like kind of a valuable resource in some Metroid games, especially when you first get them. So like I do shout out the X-ray visor for that. I mean like I have an answer, but it's like it's who doesn't love this attack? But it's the screw attack. Like
yeah,
it's
that's my
so
other. Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, yeah.
which
Screw it.
is like it's kind of a lame answer. I feel like because it's like the ultimate weapon, but like, you
Oh,
know what I mean? Like you get the
oh.
screw attack and like you are God.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, you got to get out of my way now. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't have time for you. I don't even have time to shoot you anymore. Bye. Like,
like everyone else, when you get that screw attack, everyone else is a peasant, and Samus is the man. Like it does. She's going through anybody and anything, and it's so awesome and it's so empowering. And like I love that feeling, and I feel like it's like rewarding too, because I was kind of talking about this last week, but like in Metroid Dread and a Metroid Zero Mission and a Metroid Other M, you're kind of like your ultimate weapon is the power bombs, which like is cool. But then, like, you don't really use them because you get them at the end of the game. So the only way you're really using them is to find, like, more expansions and more power bombs. Where, like, with the screw attack, like, you literally use it every time you jump. And it makes clearing out enemies, like, way easier. And it's kind of rewarding because, like, at this point in the game, you're probably tired of, like, having to stop and fight space pirates or fight whoever, right? So, like, yeah, the screw attack, it's an obvious answer, but I love it. And my second answer, because I say this all the time, the most underrated item in this series is the spring ball.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. The spring ball is fantastic. I love the spring ball. Oh,
Such
yeah.
such an underrated item because like
I,
man, it makes bomb jumping easier. It makes everything easier. It makes the game faster.
yes.
So yeah, spring jump. I if they ever remade Super Metroid, by the way, I would love for them just to lump the spring ball in with the high jump. That
Yeah.
would be nice.
Yeah.
Although we'd have to think of something else for our buddy Shaq Tool to get up to, because I do want to have Shaq Tool in a Super Metroid remake. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more question from Griff, and this is a doozy. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for this, so here we go. How do you think Mother Brain could have survived getting her energy drained by the Baby Metroid at the end of the game? This is why our man Big Griff is the king of these question episodes, because he thinks of stuff that I have never thought of. I don't know. Maybe it's because like she's part mechanical. Maybe she's got like an emergency generator somewhere that gives her more
I think
juice.
maybe she has something along the lines where Samus has like reserve tanks, and because she's so mechanical, she's able to like siphon her energy off into different computers or something like that that we can't see off the screen, and the room is infinitely bigger off to the sides or something, and we don't know about it, and that's how she was able to like reboot herself and re-energize that bio part of I don't
That sounds about as feasible as anything else, to be honest. I mean, backup generator somewhere, maybe that's it. But I feel like that's probably got something to do with it. I mean, let's not let facts get in the way of a good story, I guess. But yeah, that is a good question. Because I don't know, she's only out of commission really for a couple minutes, and
right.
then it happens. That
Like
scene.
maybe there was like a piece of code that they wrote to specifically like counteract that. I don't know, something cool like that.
Maybe we'll find out more in a Super Metroid remake if one ever happens. So yeah, there it is. Okay, well we have reached the end of our Super Metroid questions. How do you feel, Lilith? This was your first podcast show. We feeling all right?
Feeling pretty good.
All right, all
That's
right.
fun.
Feel like playing Super Metroid now?
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like playing Super Metroid.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, well, we're gonna jam on out of here, but I want to thank everybody for asking us questions. I love these episodes, and we're gonna do some more of these game specific question and answer episodes. So if you have input on what you would like the next game for us to do an episode like this is, hit us up over on Twitter at Omega Metroid Pod. You can follow us on Twitter too, by the way. I'm at Spateri316. Let's see if I get this right. At Lilith with 3 L's.
Yep,
Is that it?
that's it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, just a reminder, everybody. Next week we're live streaming. We're live streaming the Zelda Cast versus Omega Metroid. You can check that out over on the Zelda Cast Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/the Zelda Cast. So come and hang out with us. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I have some shenanigans planned to maybe throw these guys off the scent and trail. So make sure that you tune in and take part in that. It's gonna be a blast. And yeah, but that's like I said, that's gonna be next Sunday at about 12 Mountain Time, which is what, 2 Eastern Time, 11 Pacific Time, 1 o'clock Central Time. I just gave you every time zone, so like, make sure that you're there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you again for everybody for submitting questions. Check us out over on Twitter. Get us wherever you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. That would be sweet, sweet, sweet. And make sure to check out OmegaMetroid.com for all of your Metroid needs, guides, maps, walkthroughs, news, you name it, we got it. Plus, we have a Patreon that you can check out as well. I'm doing some more Metroid ROM hacks this month, and I've got some good stuff coming up. So make sure that you check that out. That's it. We are going to get out of here. It was great podcasting with you, Lillith. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, I had fun.
All right, we'll see everybody next week. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.